Hey friends, welcome back to Bold Moves, Confident Choices. Boy, am I excited for today's episode. It already gets me shaking and moving. I am going to introduce you to Brianne Zborowski. She is the co-founder and CEO of Apolla Performance, a revolutionary brand that gained national attention on Shark Tank. Yes, I said it. Shark Tank Season 13, Episode 18. And Apollo got its attention for its game-changing dance and athletic compression socks. Bree is a born entrepreneur who grew up in the vibrant suburbs of Detroit, where she discovered her love for dance at a young age. She pursued well-rounded training in singing, dancing, choreography, while learning the values of hard work and perseverance from her entrepreneurial family. After earning a BA in business management from Oakland University, Bree danced professionally in Los Angeles before channeling her passion into directing and developing competitive dance programs across Michigan, California, and Texas, all of which continue to thrive today. She is also a founding member of Dance Medica and co-host of Beyond the Steps podcast. So without further ado, I will dance my way to have Bree on the stage. Bree,
I
so
love
happy.
it. Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, I'm thrilled to have another Shark Tank entrepreneur on the podcast.
It's like a little club.
It is. It is a club, right? Once you have put yourself through that experience, you are officially part of the club.
It's so true. And nobody really understands it like the people that have gone through it. So it's a very nice little support system for sure.
So true. So true. So, Bria, I'm going to start off with the question I ask everyone, and that is, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I mean, you covered it. I don't know. I was born and raised outside of Detroit. My parents had a first generation produce company. It was a family business. So very, very early on, I remember watching them with the challenges of building a business. And when I was 7, I started working down there, slinging produce in the open market and learning how to sell and talk to people, which for a young kid is a really great skill to have, and understanding how to communicate with people with different cultures and languages and backgrounds, really putting yourself out there and having to look people in the eye and sell them something. And so that was my first little experience in dipping the toe into entrepreneurship. And meanwhile, I fell in love with dance, and it was my passion. And I was like, this is going to be in my life forever. And kind of pursued that and everything that came with that. I was a really busy kid. I met my now husband, who totally, I like to say, changed my life and introduced me to my best friend that I'm now running my business with. And I pursued my professional dream of dance, and I have built these programs that give back to other kids that are finding their passion in dance. And then one day, as we started having kids and building our life, my best friend came to me and said, I have this idea and I want you to do it with me. And kind of the rest is history. So it's been a wild ride. And I think a lot of things from growing up until now have kind of prepared me for my role as a co-founder and CEO of my own business and what is now Apolla.
So, Bree, tell us a little bit about your Shark Tank experience with that. So, hold on, let me backstep even more. When did Apollo start? And then when did that big moment happen that you were like, oh my gosh, we're going to be on Shark Tank? And what was it like?
Yeah, it's Apolla. So for everybody out there, well, it autocorrects to Apollo, and I think everybody knows Apollo. And it's one of these lessons as a business owner, is when we were naming our business, we wanted something that really meant something to us. And so we make compression socks, the best compression socks in the world, but we fuse a lot of science goes into what we do. My business partner, my best friend, Casey, she is our science brain, and she's always researching. She did her master's thesis on the impact of compression. And that's how she came up with the idea for Apolla. But when we were naming the business, Apollo was the god of the muses and of arts and science and all of the things. And with our passion in dance and our passion for science, we wanted to fuse those together. But because we're all female owned, we feminized it and took it from Apollo to Apolla. And so that is a fun little backstory on how we got our name. But it's one of those things that nobody really knows that backstory. So it's constantly Apollo. So
how funny.
Name your business.
Well, thanks for correcting me. And I love the backstory of it, Apollo. And wow, that's super cool.
But yeah, but
Okay.
from the beginning, it was funny because of the way we started the business and that we were best friends and started kind of targeting in a very niche space with the dance community. It was really different. We were having new conversations in the dance industry that had not previously been had. And everyone we met for the first, I would say, a couple years would be like, you guys need to go on Shark Tank. And my business partner is the eternal optimist of the two of us, and I am not. There's always one, right? And so she was like, we're going to be on someday. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so we were in R&D for about 2 years, and we went to live sales. We started the company in 2014, so about 10 years ago, a little more than that now, but we were in R&D for 2 years. We launched and went to live sales in 2016 as we were both having our second baby. We were both
Wow.
pregnant within months of each other both times. But so going to live sales was a lot, and we were exclusively in dance. And then when the pandemic hit, everything was going like this. And then dance sort of fell off a cliff, just like everything in the arts and entertainment world was kind of just at a standstill. And we realized very quickly that we had to accelerate our 5 year plan to get outside of dance and into that mass market space. And by that, I mean anyone with feet. And so one of the things that we did and our Hail Mary was Shark Tank. And my Casey called me one day while we were in the process of figuring this whole thing out. And she said, guess what? I just applied for Shark Tank. And I think I actually said, oh, good. That's great. Good job. Let's moving on, and I'm again, eternal optimist, fly in the ointment kind of thing. And so I didn't think much about it. And we went on with our business. We had a lot of challenges at that time. And a few weeks later, she called me screaming. I mean, just screaming to the point where I was like, what is going on? Are you okay? And she's like, you'll never guess who called. I just got called, talked to somebody from casting and they want to talk to us. And I think in that moment, I mean, obviously we had a long road. The Shark Tank is a long road. It's very hard to get on the show. And we're very fortunate for the opportunity. But at the time, I mean, this was call number one. And something in my gut, terrified, was like, we're going to be on the show. Oh my gosh, we're going to be on the show. And so I think I knew then because it had just felt like our destiny. Like literally once a month, somebody would say to us, you guys have to go on Shark Tank. You're perfect for Shark Tank. I mean, all the time. So to have it be this full circle moment was really cool. And I think we both instinctively knew like this is our path and we're going to make the most of it.
Okay. So, Bria, I have to ask. So, from the time you got that first call,
Yeah.
when was that to when you went to LA to film? And then when did you air? Can you give
Yeah, great
everyone
question. So
that?
we applied for the show in February of 2021. I think we got the first call at the end of March, beginning of April. And then you really don't know from that point if you're going to be on the show until a couple weeks before they fly you out. So I think we got that call and then we didn't film until the end of September of 2021. And then from there, we walked out with the dream scenario. We had done a deal on air with Lori and we're so thrilled about it. And then a lot of people don't realize there's so much due diligence legally that goes into this, from the application process to getting to film if you get that far. And then after you film, if you make a deal with your shark and their team. And so we didn't hear anything until end of February, March of 2022. So it had almost been a full year from when we applied before we got the call, hey, your episode is going to air on April 1st. And for those that don't know, I mean, it's just because you audition doesn't mean you get to film. Just because you film doesn't mean you get to air. Just because you get a deal doesn't mean you get to air. And so it is a very long process. And I think I just heard some crazy fact that it's statistically harder to get onto Shark Tank than it is to get into Harvard. So, we kind of celebrate that that milestone still because it was a big shifting point for our company for sure.
Wow. Who needs Harvard when you have Shark Tank, Brie?
Well, yeah, it was the hardest thing. I like to say I've given birth twice, and I feel like it was the hardest thing that we've ever done. And it's a lot. It was a lot.
It is a lot. And every step of the way, they always tell you it's never a guarantee,
Never a
right?
guarantee. Yeah, you're warned. And I think for us, we made that conscious decision day one. Like this was everything. This company was our third child, this that we never had. Like this was everything that our families had sacrificed for, that we had sacrificed for. And so there were a lot of those entrepreneurial sacrifices through this process. And I think we both knew this has to be 150%. We have to figure out how to make getting on this show our full-time job and still running our company and being moms. And we had to give up a lot. Like our husbands had to jump in and pick up the slack. With the kids, we fell off the face of the planet. Everybody was like, "Where are you? Why? How come you don't come out? How come you're not doing anything?" And you can't tell anyone anything about what you're going through. And so, really, the only people that know are each other and your spouse, who obviously, is in the same household as you. And they really had to jump in, and we missed a lot of moments with our kiddos. And because we were at home studying and preparing like it was our job to go on the show while simultaneously running our company full time. So it was a big undertaking, for sure.
It's a lot. And you, again, people don't realize when you walk into the tank, it is the first time they see you
Yeah.
and you see them. Like there is no communication beforehand.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that doubt that. I was surprised afterwards to find that out, that I think there's a lot of people that don't believe that it's not scripted. And everybody, it really, the only thing that is scripted is that first 45-second pitch. Hey, sharks, I'm Bree and this is Casey and we're Apolla. And like all the things that you do in that 30 to 45 seconds, that is practice and that is rehearsed. They don't know about it, but you do rehearse it. And then everything else that they throw at you after that, every question, you just have to go in as prepared as possible. And I think we really worked hard at that preparation process. We really did that.
So, Bree, two questions here. How many times did you practice your pitch?
Oh gosh, so many. So many. I don't even know. I mean, I probably still recite it if I had a couple minutes, but I would say it in the shower. We have a very wonderful network of people with different backgrounds in business. And we made panels. We made Shark Tank panels, and we're never in the same place because I live in Idaho, Casey's in Florida right now, and we've never lived in the same place. So everything was over Zoom. Everything with Sony ABC was over Zoom at that time because it was post COVID. And so we practiced with panels with people all over the country in different areas of business, firing questions at us, listening to our pitch, getting comfortable. We had little elements of like choreography and movement in our pitch where we practiced that, which was really hard over Zoom because there's always a lag. And it helps when you have an immense connection and trust with the person you're going through this with. And so everybody always says, well, don't go into business with your best friend, don't go into it with family. But for Casey and me, that's all we've ever known is family business. Her mom had a dance studio that she grew up in, and I grew up in this produce family, with this produce business. And so all we know is that. And so it made sense. People are like, you're going to regret it. And for us, it's been the opposite. I think for us, it's brought us closer. She's definitely more like a sister to me. We've gone through all the ups and downs together. Nobody really understands anything like she does. And so to go through that process and have this extremely stressful event happening where there's a lot of unknowns, and be able to pull on somebody like that for energy and support, and even in different states, it was pretty amazing.
That is amazing. The fact you don't live by each other and everything has been done over
Yeah.
Zoom, that's impressive, Bree.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't recommend it for everybody, but it works for us. We've made it work for us. It works for our business. We've made it work. And it's just a testament to, if you're on the same page with somebody and you have that vision and you have the same work ethic, it all works out how it's supposed to.
That's awesome. And okay, one last question on Shark Tank before we dive into some of the bold questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I watched your episode. It was a little over 11 minutes.
Yeah.
In reality, how long were you in the tank?
Casey and I still don't really know. She leans more towards like 45 minutes. I feel like it was over an hour. And that's the thing, is like that's the other stressful part, is you walk out and we knew we had a deal. We did a
Yeah.
deal with Lori. We felt good. And obviously you walk out feeling good. We did what we set out to do. And I think we had our head down 3 hours later in a restaurant crying, thinking through everything we said, thinking through what we should have said. I shouldn't have said this. I wanted to say that. And we had done everything that we wanted to do. And so to be there, just head in hand, going, why did I do that? Or, just crying and go, it's an insane experience that is really hard to put into words. But yeah, it was a long time. We were very prepared. That's the other thing, is I know people prepare for the show very differently. Some people really go in there and go off the cuff, and we'll wing it. And that's not how we did this. Like, we watched every episode, season 1 through 12 at the time, and wrote down every question that was asked. And then we knew we went through every question. You're getting this one, you're getting this one. I dealt with more of the business side, the money, the costing questions, things about, partnerships, stuff like that was mine. She was the product development, the inventory stuff, and the marketing piece, right? And so we divvied those up, and we knew, like, if this question gets lobbed, we're doing this. And then on top of that, then we were warned over and over. It's like herding cats when you're in there, because what people don't see is they are literally talking over each other, walking back and forth, talking to each other while you're giving your whole pitch for over what I think was an hour. And you have to command the attention of the room and get out the things that you want to say, or they're not going to hear it. And so we were warned repeatedly, make sure you get all of this out that you want to say, and make sure you have a nice way to do it. And so we had keywords queued up in each of our minds of, like, when I say this word, Casey's going to jump on top of it. So there's no space for them to jump in the middle and ask us anything. And it worked. When on the show, you're going to see, like, I'll finish a sentence and she jumps right on top, and then I'll jump on top of her. And it's because we knew there is certain information that they have to have for us. And come hell or high water, we're getting it out. So that's what happened.
Wow. Hey, I've got a question for you. Want to make thousands more in your next salary negotiation? If you knew there was a proven system to help you land more money, better benefits, and a total compensation package that reflects your worth, would you take it? The Salary Bump Accelerator is that system. It's packed with everything you need to get out of your head, prepare for your interview like a pro, and negotiate with confidence so you never leave money on the table again. And because you're a loyal listener to Bold Moves Confident Choices, you get 15% off with code BOLD15. That is all caps BOLD15. Go to thesalarybump.com to get started, because your next paycheck should be your best one yet. Let's get you paid what you're worth. Okay, I feel like I have to go back and watch it now. And we prepared and it was really intense, but the fact you went back, looked at every episode, every question, Bree, you could sell that to potential Shark Tank companies.
Yeah.
Yes.
We did. And that is something that we love to do. Honestly, anybody that's coming in from the show, is just airing. We have a wonderful community of Shark Tank entrepreneurs that are very supportive. And it's one of the best things that has come out of the experience, to be honest. And anybody new that's like, I'm airing, I don't know what to do. I mean, if Casey and I can and are available, we'll always go, let's jump on a 1 to 2 hour Zoom call so that we can walk you through this and tell you what to prepare for, because it's that giving back. It's that I wish that I would have had this resource at the time and we didn't. Right. I wish I would have known this. And I think that's the best thing you can do in a community of entrepreneurs is share what you've learned, share your experience, so that hopefully they can avoid the landmines on their way to success, right? Because everybody's going to have those pitfalls. Everybody's going to have the landmines and the challenges that come up. It's how bad are they and how quickly can you move through it to get to the next challenge, right? So for that, we love having those conversations and helping any way we can.
I love that. That's great. And the community is very strong with all the Shark Tank entrepreneurs. So, I mean, Bree, I now have to ask you the big question, and that is, what would you say was the bold move or confident choice that took things to the next level for you personally or professionally?
So there's two. So for the business, hands down for me, I would say it was Shark Tank. It was applying. It was Casey sending in that application and actually pulling the trigger. That was life-changing for us, for our business. It changed the nature of everything, and I would absolutely do it again. Personally, I think it was the moment that I went from juggling Apolla with my full-time job and quitting the full-time job, giving up the benefits, giving up the salary, which I want to say, so from our journey, everybody's journey is really different. When we started this company in 2014, I feel like Casey was in a place where she could give up her job. We talked to our spouses, and that was something that they mutually agreed that they could do. And not everybody can do that. And we were very fortunate that we were able to have somebody jump in and be full time from the beginning when it's a very risky thing to do. But I couldn't. And so I had to juggle the full time job for a solid 4 or 5 years almost, while it might have been four, I think, while we were building Apollo. And so that required a lot of dancing, a lot of really late nights, a lot of really early mornings. And I felt very fried during that time, but I did it because I think when you believe in what you're doing and you have passion for it, you can get anything and you can do anything if you keep that fire lit. Right. And so I really tried to focus on, why are we doing this? What is the end game? How do we get there? What do we need to get there? And I just put my head down and did it. I don't know how I did it because we were having babies at this time. And we had always said, Apollo is its own entity. It is a living, breathing thing. It is like another child, and it needs what it needs, and its needs are not always going to line up with our personal needs. But when it becomes clear that Apollo needs me, I have to go, or we're going to have to figure something else out. And so it became very clear that we were growing and it was going very well, but it was by no means like this, this giant income that we were going to have. We didn't take paychecks for a while. And so I had to go from a 2 income family to a 1 income family. And that was scary. We did our all in thing, and we sold our house in Texas and moved back to Michigan to live with my parents for a year to make sure that our family was okay. And then we bought a house there thinking like, okay, we're good. And when my husband was also in the dance industry on the convention side of things, when COVID hit and our business slowed down, his business stopped. And so he had to pivot and change jobs right as we were getting through this whole 1 income thing, and became a real estate agent. And so then it got really challenging. So I think for me, that big, bold move was that leap of faith that I took as an entrepreneur, quitting my full-time job, giving up our benefits, giving up my salary to do this, moving back in with my parents, having small children, and then having a big question mark over my husband's career at a time where it was not convenient. That was for sure a defining moment for me.
Bree, you really bring it to the forefront. Entrepreneurship is not easy.
No.
It's not glamorous. And while you have this freedom, there's a lot of what I'm hearing weight that is on your shoulders every day, personally and professionally.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment you second guessed yourself?
Oh, of course. I'd be lying if I sat here and said no. I think our gut, Casey and I operate, there's a lot of gut checks that happen in this business. And we're not afraid to look very closely at those gut checks every step of the way. And we've had many times where we've both checked in. Are we sure this is what we want to do? Are we sure we're both good? We're feeling good about this? And the answer is always yes. But I'd be lying to you if there were moments that I didn't, when we were really struggling, if I didn't go, oh God, what did I do? What did I do for my kids? What did I do for their future? What did I do to my husband? And I think I just I have those moments, and then I wrap them up and turn them into fuel for what needs to happen next. And that's how I think a lot of people look at us and go, how have you been able to operate with that grit and that fire and that energy for so long? Because it's been 10 years, since the day that we started it. And I think the answer is that keeps us motivated. It keeps us hungry. The end goal is we've never taken our eyes off that for a second.
So when you say gut, you're following your intuition.
Yeah. The intuition, the feeling, when Casey talked to me about this on the beach and she pitched this idea, it was probably the most inconvenient time because we were pregnant. We had 1-year-olds. We were about to have our second babies. Like everything was just, you're in the throes of motherhood. You're working, your life is busy. Our husbands were always working. So you're like, this is probably the worst time for me to decide we're going to start a business. But something in me, the part that had always said, I'm going to own my own business someday, and have had many opportunities to do it and said no, right? But this one felt different. And this one, everything in me was screaming, yes, jump, go now. This is it. And I don't know, it's just been there ever since. And so it feels like we were meant to do this, that we were meant to do this at the time. We were like every experience that we had had leading up to Apolla was to prepare us for Apolla and to get us ready for it personally and professionally. And it's the best decision I ever made, for sure, besides my husband.
So that's nice to tell him, to mention him. He took a lot of sacrifices for the team, right?
And so has
How do you
Casey's husband. Yeah, it's a family commitment for sure. For sure.
It's a all hands on deck, especially when you air on Shark Tank. It is a mind-blowing experience for sure.
Yeah.
This question is surfacing for me, and how do you know when you've made it as an
Oh,
entrepreneur?
yeah. I don't know. I'll let you know. I think we definitely have learned to celebrate the wins and celebrate the milestones and how far we've come. I wouldn't say either one of us would say that we've made it. I always remind myself 5 years ago you would have given anything to be where you're at right now, and that is so true. And so it took us a while to learn how to look back. We would always go, okay, yeah, yeah, we did that. Okay, now moving on. Now we'll go, can you believe we did that? Like, look back, look at where we were. Or I'll come across an email or an old business plan from like day one, and I'll read it and just go, oh my gosh, it's mind blowing that we're here and that we've survived all the challenges that have presented themselves along the way. And I don't know, if you're an entrepreneur and you feel like you've made it, I'm not sure you're doing it right. I don't know. I don't know if there's like
Great
an
point.
actual answer to that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's
great
always
point.
something else. There's always another thing. There's always another milestone. There's always another challenge. And you're only as good as how you get through that. And then the next one comes up. So I think the key is to remain focused, is to remain grateful and flexible. Like we still pride ourselves today. We're a pretty small team still, and it allows us to be agile and nimble and flexible and to pivot and make decisions quickly, which is kind of what you need to be as an entrepreneur. If you're slow to react and you're slow to move, you're not going to get very far. So I think we really focus on that and the gratitude of things and making sure that we're never too big for our britches, that we're always examining a decision that we made a year ago might not be the right decision for us now. And so always going and examining our processes and how we do things and what we're using, the teams that we're using to do it. There's just things that we're always evaluating. And I think if you're in that spot, you're in a good spot.
So now, Bree, if I really take a deep dive into just everything you've gone through so far in your life, if you had to go back to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell her?
Don't worry so much. It will be, you're exactly where you're meant to be and it will all work out. And I used to hate those words because I am a control freak. I mean, I own it. I've really realized that about myself. I have a little bit of control freak in me. Very type A, and have lost so much sleep and had so much stress and anxiety and worry over things that ultimately play out how they're going to play out, and you come out on the other side of it and you figure it out and you have all the tools you need to get through it. But I would just say don't worry so much. Protect your health, take care of your mental health, start doing all those healthy habits, the journaling, the getting enough sleep, and taking all this, like all the things that keep you grounded and healthy. Start doing it earlier. I wish I would have done it earlier rather than trying to figure it out now in my 40s, but just don't worry so much. It's going to be okay.
I love it. So, Bree, as we walk away today, I'm going to backtrack here because I'm having
Yeah.
a little twist of the tongue. I'm reflecting on our conversation right here. And what I'm taking away from today is number one, follow your intuition, speak it. There's something powerful behind that. Entrepreneurship is not easy, but if you have passion, you can make anything happen. If it's in your gut and you're feeling that fire, listen to it. It will help push you through those tough times. And last is don't worry.
Yeah, basically. And a lot of that, you learn from going through it. I'm fortunate, like I said, to have my complete opposite as my partner in all of this. And I learn from her every day how to be more, or try to be more positive and try to take care and protect your peace. And so you learn from the people around you and you pull on the resources you have and use your network, leverage all of those connections, because you never know who's going to be able to help you with the next challenge, with the next thing, and be part of your journey too.
What a great point. Our network is so powerful. So, Bree, as we leave here today, what would you like everyone to walk away with?
Yeah, just don't be afraid to dream big. I think I grew up in a place where I felt like I had to be married by the time I was 24 and had to have kids. And, that's what you did. And everybody kind of is from where it lives where they grew up or in the vicinity. And something happened to me where I just knew that I wanted something else. I didn't know how to define that. Go get it. Don't be afraid to step out of the structure that you feel like you were raised in. It's okay to be different and do something that nobody around you is doing. It feels a little lonely sometimes, but take the leap because you never know what's going to be waiting for you on the other side. I always say if I would have done that, I never would have met my husband. I never would have met my best friend who both changed my life, and I wouldn't have this business. So there was one defining moment that changed the trajectory of my whole life. And because I was open to receiving it, and I was open to taking that big, bold move, right? And taking that big, bold leap, my life changed. And that could be said for anybody.
Dream big, everyone. That is
Yeah.
such an important thing, and we forget because we get put in this box as adults. Think outside the box, dream big. Bree, you're such an inspiration, what you have accomplished. You're not only an entrepreneur at Apolla, you have other ventures going on the side. If people need to find you, where do they find Bree? Where do they find Apolla?
ApollaPerformance.com. That's APOLLA performance.com. And it's Apolla Performance on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. You can find us anywhere, but where you can find everything there. We're very accessible.
Well, Bree, thank you so much for being here today. Your story is amazing. It's inspiring. I know you're going to have people thinking big after this episode. So thanks again for being here today. And to everyone out there in my audience, go be bold, be confident, and be you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Courtney.